Very good morning, everyone. Myself, Gyan Prakash. I'll quickly share my screen. I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yeah, it's visible.
Awesome. Thank you. Quick intro about myself. Myself, Gyan Prakash. I head the global SOC delivery. I'm the APAC MDR delivery for Arete. It's been like 4.5 years with Arete currently. Worked with various organizations in the past like NSE, Aegis, Palladian, Cyberbit, Verisign, and few other organizations. I have a 16 plus years of cybersecurity experience overall. So today I am going to, talk about Arete cyber defense and a quick review about what Arete is, what we are into, how we tackle our the client's problems, and what are our major key strengths, and what are the benefits which a customer will get out of Arete MDR services. So these are the few of the topics which we are highlighted here. I will start with Arete. So Arete is a uh, Florida headquartered firm founded in 2016. We are predominantly an incident response company globally, and in the US, we are number two. We compete with Mandiant in the incident response space directly. We are currently 500 plus employees. We are our footprints are in various countries like US, Canada, Europe, and Asia. Asia headquarters is in India, of course. And when I say incident response, so basically any companies who are dealing with any kind of ransomware or any kind of malware breaches, any kind of incidents which they are going through. So Arete will be one single stop shop for all their needs. Right. So we have empaneled with almost all the major carriers, insurance service providers, law firms, and various other technology partners globally. And any insured clients having issues in terms of compromise, ransomware attacks, encryptions happening, live threat actors, live activity which is happening. So we deal with those cases. And that's being our front line of business. And we also excel in the MDR services. So today, mostly we will be touching on our managed services and how we add a layer on top of traditional approach and how our clients are getting benefited out of it. Moving to the next slide. So how Arete complements the SOC. So predominantly the traditional SOC, we all know that it's, we use a SIM tool for monitoring, integrate all the different log sources, your data center assets, create your rules, fine tune, which is a continuous process, and start looking for your east, west, north, south traffic and see what is happening. On top of this, we add our MDR services, which complements to the SOC services, right? Because SOC services are not just the SIM SOC is not very effective in terms of handling the external threats. Predominantly the malware attacks, the um, uh, you know um, uh, any kind of ingestions, any kind of exploits which is happening from your external world to the internal. This is the layer where we need to really focus on to control the kind of damages which any company will go through. So that's how we complement any kind of SOC services. I mean, any customer who have their existing SIM SOC, and then we add our MDR on top of it. So this brings a tighter integration between the endpoint layer, between your data center assets, between the operating system level and up till the application level. What are the various things which needs to be focused? So we focus on those, collect those telemetry, and then have our AML based detections in place with Arete's enrichment on top, which I will talk in the upcoming slides. So this is how Arete primarily complements the SOC. So we do have clients who come to us to add our MDR services on top of their existing SOC, or we do have clients who just comes to us when there is an incident, and post incidents, and I want to have a proactive services. So we set up everything from the scratch for them, which is a tighter integration, complete seamless process workflows, which we follow. Right. So our approach is basically, these are few technology partners to mention here, but to name a few, we have mentioned here the Curadar, Alien Vault, and currently we are moving towards the AI SIM and the next gen SIM platforms, which is been provided by the Sentinel-1 or by CrowdStrike's, and writing our intelligence, our modules on top of it. Right. So it's our MDR plus SOC is a complete round the clock operation. So we do have two different functions which supports the platform integrations, any issues around the platform, entire end-to-end platform management round the clock, along with the operations round the clock. Right. So when I say operations, like full-time monitoring, real-time monitoring, eyes on the glass, we do have automations in place for triaging the low critical, low severity incidents, and take immediate actions. And then, our services also includes the complete threat hunting, threat detections layer, and with the automated response. So which provides a complete, end-to-end life cycle of the SOC and the managed detection and response workflow for our clients. So we do have in-house threat hunters who keep hunting for threats, any new behaviors, any new patterns, which is not in line with the detections from the tools or platforms what we leverage. Right, it's on top of it. So that's how we add more value to our clients in our detections, or by saving their clients environment, saving their livelihoods. So we have multiple cases globally where the clients impact has been detected very early stage, and we contained it before it went to a bigger compromise. So going to the MDR process, as I mentioned, I'm so sorry. As I mentioned, it's a round the clock operations with two different functions tightly integrated. The engineering under the SOC and MDR practice handles the platform related continuous evaluation of platforms, fine tuning, and adding new set of hunting rules hypothesis, which is a continuous process we follow by learning the customer's environment continuously. Right. And the incident management and response process is again set with a 100% SLA driven process. So this has been followed for our global clients, and to name it, I mean to mention it, so we have 1,000+ MDR clients globally. Most of our clients are in the US, and 25% of our clients are in India and in the APAC region. So we have a very good process in place where we follow the right escalation metrics, on-time detection, on-time escalation, on-time containment, which is in return helping our clients in a very better and bigger way. And the custom rules and the threat hunting, which is the additional layer, but it's a default service for all our MDR clients. But we add this as an additional layer on top of what we can leverage from a platform. For example, any MSSP partner or any MDR service partner will be leveraging a tool, be it Sentinel-1 or CrowdStrike or any other XDR platforms or AI SIMs or next-gen SIMs, and they depend on those, right? The detections are completely 100% depend on what the tool can detect. But Arete goes one level above and beyond and add our layer of detection, which is adding additional extra layer of detection for our clients. I will touch upon more in detail in the coming slides about that particular piece. And then, utilization of our frontline threat intelligence, which is the most critical component of Arete's, because we have the advantage of being in the IR industry, because IR response service providers are the one who get to deal with any such live attacks, which is happening right in the market globally, not just for one single client, but for thousands of clients. So as I was talking in the first slide, our run rate every month is anywhere between 50 to 60 incident response cases globally. And in the last couple of years, we have crossed more than 8,000 plus IR project which has been delivered. Be it Fortune 500 companies, be it Fortune 50 companies, the topmost companies globally, be in India and in the US and in Canada or Europe, are been our clients so far. And of course the process, right? So we have a very good process in place in terms of like weekly governance, weekly reports, weekly monthly reports, monthly governance, quarterly governance. So we have a dedicated customer support executive who takes care of the client management, understanding what are the challenges which the clients are going through, and on a time-to-time basis, how we improvise and help our clients, increase the security posture. All right. So in this, we also add the identity component. When I say identity component, identity and your Active Directory security is becoming one of the most common factors of compromise these days, right? So we also add an additional layer on top of our threat intelligence, on top of our threat hunting. We also bring in a platform along with our expertise to safeguard and secure your Active Directory. So when I say Active Directory and domain controllers, any kind of policy mismatches, any kind of misconfigurations, any kind of live attacks which can happen on your Active Directory, be it a golden ticket or a silver ticket or a Kerberos attack. So all such attacks will also be monitored and immediately notified to our clients as part of our overall services component, right? And of course, data retention by default, we provide 90 days, but this is at the this can be extended or enhanced as per the client's requirement. We also have the capability to store up to 365 days or for 2 years or 3 years based on the needs. Right. So this is the overall process we follow in terms of our MDR. And moving to the next interesting topic, which I want to spend a little bit more time in the next 2-3 slides. So this is Arete's enriched TTP IOC based detection and protection. So what I was mentioning is we just don't depend on the platform levels detection or the platform levels threats which is being detected by the platform on its own, which is good. But on top of it, Arete adds our layer, which is basically from the expertise or from the day in, day out work, what we are doing on thousands of our incident response cases, right? So the benefit what we get here from the incident response scenarios are because we get to decode uh, any type of new attacks, be it, you name any kind of ransomwares in the market. Arete is experienced in dealing with all those kind of ransomwares, right? So every single ransomware, every single variant, every single threat actor, each time when he's trying to exploit a customer, he uses a little bit of different way to deal with it. Of course, they do an initial exploitation using some known vulnerability or by a 0 days, etc., etc. Once he leverage those vulnerabilities, once he exploits, how he is penetrating into your network, how he is laterally moving, all those indicators of compromise will be captured as part of our forensics investigation and then fed it back to our threat intel platform, what we call it as Arsenal, and create an intelligence on top of it and then broadcast it to all our MDR clients. So this is basically a data plus analysis plus engineering layer, which gets added on top of all the detection and monitoring, leveraging the traditional or the next gen platforms. So this is how Arete brings a value add on table to our clients, which most of our clients are enjoying. So I will give you a few of the real-time cases on how we contain, what we contain, using Arete's intelligence. which has been bypassed by the predominantly by the EDR or by the XDR platforms. Right, in the next slide, so what we are talking is, as I mentioned, how we combat, right? So such kind of threats. So to name a few, so these are few malwares and tools which are mainly used by the threat actors to disrupt the client's infrastructure, right? Like information stealing malware, info stealer. For example, info stealers is usually used to compromise customers' environment and try to steal, exfiltrate very confidential information, financial information, SSN numbers, credit card information, any such things, right? So we have a very good layer of detection for such kind of info stealers, or such kind of information stealing malwares. Similarly, on the malicious scripts, like any kind of JavaScript abuse, which is very, very common today. So one of the major victim or major malwares around this particular area is the shock Golish malware, right? So we all must be aware of this. So we have a very good strategy in place to deal with them. So this particular malware basically uses a legitimate websites, uh, compromise legitimate websites, which is very, very simple, because the websites are exposed, which has been out in the internet. Not many controls are in place for many of the clients, most of the clients, and they very easily tap into the legitimate websites and then route the customers or the visitors of the websites to a fake website, or to a fake browser downloads, and then they convince the client to basically download those particular malicious scripts, and then they try to achieve whatever they want once they get a footprint or once they had a hold inside the customer's environment. We are very quiet, very silent. How we detect it, you will see in the coming slides. And similarly, the remote access trojans, it's a very common. They try to take remote access by injecting the trojans, and then connect it back to the CNC. The backdoor opens, and they do whatever they want to. And we are very, very focused on ransomwares. Currently, if you see, as I mentioned, more than the east-west, we focus more on the north-south traffic, right? So, which is more critical, complex, and deadly if something happens. So we are experts in dealing with any and every type of ransomwares. We do have threat negotiators sitting globally, who can talk Russian, who can talk Chinese, who can talk Korean, in whichever type of ransomwares which has been originated from whichever region. We know how to talk to them, how to negotiate with them, if in case a client is in a situation to go for a ransomware payments. We also facilitate those, right? So be it ransomware hub, links, Akira, which is a very, very common ransomware, were very active in India. Currently, while we are talking, Arete in India itself, we are having around 4 to 5 engagements. Everything is related to Akira, right? So Akira basically leverages the VPN or your firewall vulnerabilities, exploit into the network, and then they take down the entire ESXi hosts. So this is very common pattern of Akira. So we are aware how to tackle them. We are aware how to control them, contain them in the very beginning stage itself. Similarly, the remote monitoring and management, the RMM abuse, which is again one of the biggest activities which are going on globally. I'm not sure if you guys are aware the recent attacks leveraging ConnectWise RMM module, AnyDesk RMM module, because these are all service desk which has an RMM modules by default available, and the threat actors can very easily leverage them and then get into your network and take control of your servers, server segments, data centers very quickly. So we also deal with them in a very effective way. So such kind of malwares, we predominantly prioritize, and we also convert an actionable strategy in our MDR services for our clients. For example, if you see any kind of info stealing malwares or remote trojans, so we continuously evolve and create IOCs, IO enrichments, which will be fed back in a near real-time basis for all our MDR clients. Proactive threat intelligence feeds, malware behavior analysis. We get to know this based on our IR engagements, and then convert them back into the MDR deliveries and MDR service deliveries for our clients. Threat attribution and geo targeting. So this is, again, as I mentioned, is one of the biggest aspect, right? So we also get to understand, we also know the information about each threat actor group, what would be their targets, which location they target, which are the kind sectors they target. Like a few threat actors usually targets the government verticals, right? They have a different motive. Few threat actors for targets the health sectors. They have their own motive. Few education sectors, few financial sectors. So we know how to deal with such kind of threat actors, different variants, and we do have those strategies in place with us. Similarly, on the remote monitoring and management, which is basically the RMM abuse. So this is a combination of SIM EDR correlation rules, which we have created based on RMM tools, which is being leveraged, there is legitimate RMM tools, as I mentioned, ConnectWise has it, AnyDesk has it, and many other dissemination tools has it, right? Because those are mandatory use or for the clients to keep their IT services going on. So we do monitor these, and we eliminate false positives very effectively, and do a behavioral based rule based and behavioral based pattern matching, and do a complete detections around these as well. So moving to the next one. So this is one of the use case, very interesting. I want to show you to you all, not made it very technical, but just kept it on a high level. So recently with few of our clients, not just one, but few of our clients, we have seen similar patterns. And unfortunately, these malware executions were bypassed on the endpoint detection and response tool level, platform level. It could be any sophisticated platform today we have in the market, but these techniques were bypassed, right? And how Arete got it. So the target regions, mostly we saw this particular detections happening in US, hitting the government organizations very hard. And they similarly used, as I was mentioning in the previous slide, they use the fix browser updates by compromising trusted websites or legitimate websites, and then trick the users to download the malicious file. So once it happens, then they started doing a backdoor communication. The malware was written in a way that it is capable of stealing any kind of data, execute commands, take control of your network, move laterally in a stealth way. So the main goal of them is to get access through these users by faking the websites, or by rerouting them to a different tail. So once the download happens, they started accessing, and then they started getting a backdoor access to deploy the ransomwares, right? So usually this SOC Golish helps deploying the ransomware hub ransomware, and this is what happened in the same way for this particular client also, right? And so if you see the payload, let me just highlight. So if you see the payload here, it says C user Rythron downloads update.js. Update.js looks something similar, very simple, and looks something which is legitimate. But however, it cannot get executed on a downloads. But still, non-technical users, people who really don't understand, and they say that, okay, there is an update sent by this thing, and which needs to be deployed, and they will try to run it and install it or whatever. And that's where the magic started, right? So if update.js, update is just a normal text, right? It's a normal text. But when we try to decode that, to our surprise, we got to understand that UPD, if you see here, is still written as a normal text, but A is been embedded, is been coded with a hexa content, which is basically a special character. D0B0 is being added, and then which is the malicious script, right? Which can easily get ingested into any systems and start taking control, and the backdoors will open and all of those. So similarly on the other customer, same JavaScript got downloaded, and instead of A they use P, and they sent their malicious code and appended into the P, right? So this is how this basically they use the ASCII and Cyrillic characters, which gets embedded into a plain text, and then they try to do their magic, right? So and we know how to catch this, and we have converted such findings and detections, and converted these as a detection rules, and started saving our clients. So this is very, very quick and earlier detection we did for our clients, and before a major breakout or a major issue, we were able to contain very quickly and save our clients. So these are few of the layers. What I was talking about is as part of the intelligence what we had, right? So we work with our threat intel team, collects various information, and how we translate into a detection layer on top of our MDR services. So it looks for various things, right? One is for suspicious files, file names pretending to be browser updates, as we saw in the previous example. It avoids the so we also have filters in place to avoid legitimate files, just to reduce the number of false positives, and so those auto triaging of false positive mechanism is also in place. And similarly any kind of processes, right? So such processes, it watches for scripts that can try and run fake browser updates, flag suspicious activity, so it will look for it. So basically, if you see any EDR platform or XDR platform by native, it for it to detect and uh, flag an activity or a behavior as a malicious or a suspicious or a high severity incident, for them they need to go through a various of checks, right? So they tell that always there is a P1, always there is a P0, patient zero, right? So there is uh, so it will let the malware get executed. It will try to see the behavior and then contain it. So it cannot. So for a new pattern, new behavior, for knowns, yes, it will upfront block it. For any kind of new pattern, new behavior, there is a P0 always, and it does couple of permutation and combination before it classifies or tag it as an critical incident, right? But with our layer, we are enriching that any such suspicious things happening, uh, we detect it upfront and also block it. We don't let that particular process run. So it will keep blocking until we go and then do a complete analysis and then say that, hey, this looks false positive. Okay, we can free this up. And then the false positive freeing up also will be a learning, and which keeps getting added into our intelligence rules, for fine tuning and enhancing those particular detection layers much further. And then, of course, the URLs, it tracks suspicious website links to fake updates while ignoring the safe ones. Again, as I said, safe ones ignoring, reducing the false positives, processes intact in place. In the last few weeks with this particular detection itself, but as I mentioned, this particular shop goish, what example I'm quoting, was bypassed by the sophisticated EDR platforms, but been caught and contained with our Arete detection layer, right? So we are detecting both currently, and the beauty is to see the retroactive undetected malware activities, which are still there, which had something, the threat actor is live, which has not been noticed from a long time. So we will also be able to check for those previously undetected malware activities as well. And then in the last few weeks, we saved close to 14 plus clients who, from the facilitated before they get impacted into this ransomware hub attack, right? So this was, very effective way of um, safeguarding our clients by adding our enrichment, our layers on top of any world's industry leading detection platforms, and that's how Arete adds more value in our overall MDR services. Right. So these are the previous slides, 2, 3 slides. What we saw was one of the live case and example, or how we detected what we detected on a sock Golish malware. But apart from that, we have similar kind of detection layers for various type of ransomwares, various type of external activities, and we also categorize the value of it. Right, one is Logbit and Black Cat ransomware. Right, so when we say gap fill, that means uh, there are some behavior, there are multiple steps while a threat actor is trying to execute, right from reconnaissance, then exploit, then delivery. There are multiple steps which we'll go through. In that, which is the step which is being currently as identified as a gap, we try to fill those gap. Like for example, which all helps in early detections and containment, right? So similarly, we have for Logbit, Black Cat ransomwares, and program data process running in file root, which could be like, looks like a legitimate, genuine process. Like the threat actors these days are very smart. They don't try to run it on the downloads or any other folders. They directly tap into your Windows program data, and then try to run it like a legitimate process execution from that folder. So we detect those immediately, and then enter those into blacklist automatically. These are part of our enrichments. And shock Golish malware is a early detection. As I mentioned, it was bypassed by EDR tools. So we can detect it in a very early stage. Executables in root directories for Linux-based servers, Windows script hosts, outbound connections, WMA execution. So these are few examples which I've quoted here. So similarly, we have 300 plus such threat hunting hypothesis in place, and all these are derived out of our incident response engagements. Right, so we as a company who does incident response and also facilitate ransomware negotiation and payments. We also have a tighter integration with the FBI and the CIA in the United States of America. Also, we share feeds to the cybercrime in the United States. Also, we receive feeds back from them, which are very, very confidential feeds, which is not publicly available. But Arete has the liberty to leverage that for our clients. So there's a few examples, as I was mentioning. Moving on to the next slide, basically Arete difference. So as I was mentioning, the frontline insights are the key aspect for our additional layer which add on top of our MDR services. We leverage data, so we have a very, very seamless way of capturing data at every single layer when there is an investigation or an incident response or a containment or a restoration activity is going on. So all these are captured, categorized, different sectors, different variants, different types of behaviors. This happens on a real-time basis from our global engagements. And then the data is being fed back to our arsenal, which I was mentioning as the actionable intelligence, the TI platform. And our team does a reverse engineering, right? So we have malware decoders, we have malware reverse engineers who sits globally. So we decode and we do a complete reverse engineering. We replicate the incident in our lab with all possible parameters, all possible setup, and then run it there, see the behavior, understand the patterns, and then convert them to actual intelligence to our clients. Right, this happens 24/7, not just the monitoring and operations, but the R&D and continuous enhancements and continuous process improvements happens on a very regular basis. And with the deep security expertise, as I was mentioning, we have a large team. We have R&D engineers who works only on decoding and analyzing malwares which are happening, malwares, ransomwares which are happening globally. Any kind of how it gets exploited, how what kind of vulnerabilities they are leveraging. So they keep working on doing all those research and then convert into the intelligence factors, right? So it's a huge set of team spread across US and India. We support round the clock, follow the sun model for our global client base support with huge expertise, all different layers, all relevant tools for triaging, for automation, for incident response, for ticket handling, for escalation. So everything is built in end to end in our services along with the platform and the services model. So these are few differentiator which Arete brings on table for our MDR clients, and predominantly on how we can battle against very simply, very seamlessly against any kind of external threats. Of course, we are keeping our clients safe with the internal attacks as well, but the major focus being on the external attacks because the value add what Arete brings in is to save the livelihood of our clients with a better, by being a better cybersecurity strategic partner for our clients. So yes, I think these are something which I wanted to cover